Hello, my name is Hamish Daly. Welcome to this brief presentation on adult attachment styles, specifically the anxious and avoidant trap. This refers to when a person running the anxious attachment style is connecting with somebody who runs an avoidant attachment style. If you're not sure what attachment styles are, that's okay, stay with us and it should become clear as we travel. Now, there are 4 stages to the anxious avoidant cycle, or the trap, or I've called it pain central, also maximum drama. Both of those names are accurate. So the first stage is connection, and in this connection, from both sides, it's similar. This feels good, let's do it. This feels good, let's do it. So let's explore that first part. Right, it feels wonderful, it feels exciting, there's chemistry, there's attraction, there's possibility, and there's hope. And what could possibly go wrong? Right, is it the honeymoon phase? This is the place of beauty and wonder and excitement and chemistry and a lot of, that stuff is, it's all up in there. Is it bothersome for you if I scratch my nose and stuff? Like, it's really natural for me, and then I see myself doing it on video and I'm like, oh, that's not very professional. So if it's not very professional and it's bothersome, I'd love for you to let me know. Okay, so things to know about this first stage, the stage of connection. This is really the time to embed and to really look down the container of the connection, right? This is where you got to show up as you are, like from this point. I know that we might want to show up as different to how we are, and that's natural. We want to put our best foot forward, and we can do that, and we also need to really pay attention to what's happening, especially if we're either deeply anxious or deeply avoidant in our traditional historic attachment style. This is the time to do the work. So courageous communication early. What are my needs? What are my wants? Right, so there might be some work to do to discovering what my needs and wants are in connection. How do I want to be treated? What's okay for me? What's not okay for me? How do I express that in a way that can be heard? Right? Part of this courageous communication is being open to feedback. When somebody's impacted by my actions, they let me know, and I'm open to that. Make it feedback, not blame or criticism. Take responsibility for the impacts of your actions. Right? I'm late for dinner by 15 minutes. I didn't mean to be late, and I didn't mean to upset my partner. And for whatever reason, that impacts her a lot. That's where my attention goes, on the impacts. Not on defending myself and explaining, I'm really a good guy. Didn't mean to do it. Those impacts. Shit. Oh, I understand that that's not okay for you, and I'm really sorry. And I won't do it again. Or whatever needs to happen. Right? Simple. So those are just some suggestions for some of the work that goes on at this stage. Really paying attention to what your partner does that you love and letting them know. What they do that you enjoy and letting them know. Not comparing them to your last partner, or you're better than that person or better than this other partner. Simply, when you tipped the waiter that $10, that felt really good to me. Like that. Okay, so this is the time to really start showing up, asking for what you want and need, and trusting the person, right? Trusting the person. If they can't give me what I need, Make a choice. Am I willing to be with somebody who can't meet me where I'm at? Can't or isn't willing? Or am I willing to do that? Hopefully the answer is no. No, I'm not. If the answer is I'm willing to give it a shot, then right now this is the choice point that sets up any future drama. Right? Because I'm choosing to be with this person when they show me who they are. And not only when they show me who they are with their actions and their words, but when I feel them. When I feel who they are, which is as reliable, if not more reliable to me than their words and actions. Right? I can feel them. Their reality and their truth, not their potential, but their reality. Right? So this, and it's difficult, right? Because the stories are running, oh my God, they're so amazing, there's so much potential. This person is just the best person I've met in forever. I don't meet many people, whatever the stories are. And the sensations in the body, like the connection, the desire, the wonder, the joy, the awe. It's hard, right? It's tough. It's tough to be grounded at this point in time. And that's what I'm suggesting. Things to know. What are we doing here? We're going backwards. Oh, let's go back there. The second sign is when... Get out of here, cat. Sorry. The second sign... the second stage. The avoidant person is feeling like this is a bit full on. My cat is so anxiously attached. It doesn't help when I have to kick her out. Psst. Come on. Disorganized, actually, and it doesn't help when I have to kick her out of the room. Poor thing. Okay, so the second stage of this cycle is the first kind of discord, or what I've called in this video, concern. The avoidant is feeling, this is a bit full on, and the anxious person can feel them disconnecting. So let's take a closer look at that. So this disconnect, or this distance, perceived or real, is irrelevant. If I perceive it, feel it, it's real. And when, as an anxious attacher, I feel this person disconnect, move away, my attachment system starts to activate it. So I want to get close to them. Right? I want to do things to regain the connection, or to regain the closeness. And at this same juncture, this disconnect, or the avoidant might start to perceive clinginess or neediness, and their attachment system starts to cool down. So one's heating up or one's cooling down. This is where we start to uncover and reveal deeper needs and deeper fears. So when there's this disconnect, each person is seeing the other as a threat. So the avoidant, their core fear, the thing that they don't want to happen, is to lose their freedom. Right, so this closeness and connection, they've needed to pull out because it's felt like they're going to be overwhelmed, or they're going to lose their freedom, because freedom is super important to this person. Right, so that fear of losing freedom is driving some of these behaviors. And the anxious person, their core fear is being abandoned. So when this person moves away, it triggers that sense inside them, and so naturally they start wanting to not have the abandonment happen. Okay, and this isn't happening at a conscious level. I'm not choosing it. It's happening. Like the sensations are happening before I get a choice. And if you imagine that the sensation triggering the belief, triggering the thought, triggering the behavior, when I talk about it, it's laid out like 1, 2, 3, 4, but imagine it's just concertinaed up super close together. So the sensation to the behavior, and that might be a spoken word or a text, can happen like that. If it doesn't happen that fast, it can happen super quickly and without my consciousness. So I don't notice the sensation. I don't know the trigger, the belief being triggered. I don't notice the thought that comes, and I don't notice before I do my action or behavior. As we get into the practice of this starts to stretch out a bit, right? And it's like, and I start to have more choice points. I can interrupt that flow at any one of those points. Sensation, compress it, squash it. Oh, belief is triggered. Oh, I've got the thought. I'm not going to send the text. And eventually, once the healing is underway and your boundaries are developing, boundaries with yourself as well as with other people, you'll be developing the capacity to feel the sensation and not obey it. So feel the sensation and get curious about it. And obviously, and not obviously, but maybe in the early stages, this seems like science fiction because the sensations are either so intense or the sequence is so fast. And whether I'm anxiously attached or I'm avoidantly attached, same sequence: sensation, belief, thought, action. Right? And we really want to be operating at this place of sensation, because the fucking meanings that we make of other people's behaviors and actions, often not accurate. Okay, so what's happening with the threat detection and threat response is at the level, biological level. When I talk about a complicated biological response to intimacy, this is what I mean. So we come together, anxious and avoidant, and it's beautiful and it's rich and it's delicious. And then this person kind of doesn't want to separate out, right? They can't get enough. This person might suddenly just get overwhelmed and want to like pop out. And what securely attached people might do, this one might say, hey babes, in 5 minutes I'm going to need to disconnect because I've got stuff to do, or I'm going to head home, or whatever. And this person recognizes their own impulse to want to, just have so much. And they can interrupt that. Or they can make, hey babes, I'm noticing, that maybe you want to get up soon. That's totally cool by me. Right, so feeling each other and supporting each other beyond this threat detection, like the automated response of the body. So at stage 1, stage 2, if we haven't returned to life-affirming connection, if we haven't returned to something that is mutually nourishing, we keep progressing through the stages and we get to stage 3, conflict. And this tends to be quite deep conflict. So the avoidant person enters lockdown, right? The attachment system is deactivating super hard and may have deactivated all of the way. And the other person is no longer biologically appealing. Right? They have stories about this person and some commitment or some other values that keep them connected, but biologically they might be quite uninteresting. On the other side, the anxious person will be in the realm of protest behaviors. And these are behaviors trying to get the attention of that person back as they move. Let's start over here. Right, they keep moving and moving and on it goes. So these protest behaviors feel like they come from a really young place, right? And they do. They're behaviors that are created in early childhood to get the attention of a non-responsive caregiver. Right, and this is encoded in a very ancient part of the biology that's very powerful. So the protest behavior, the impulse to do the protest behavior can't be modified by the rational brain. Not without understanding, awareness, and practice. Same as the avoidance lockdown and shutdown can't be altered by willing it to happen. Right, so in this phase, we've got the core fears and needs of each completely clashing. My anxious core need for connection and intimacy and closeness, and your avoidant need to get the fuck out. Right? To return to your own space so that you can get back to equilibrium. Right? So when we're in this conflict phase, equilibrium for this person is in disconnection and aloneness. Equilibrium for this person is in connection with this person. Some of the deactivating strategies that the avoidant person will use, some of the stories that they'll tell themselves to support or to explain their deactivation. I'm a free spirit. Relationships are drama. That person had a few issues anyway. If only I hadn't broken up with my ex. He was kind of perfect, you know. Whatever it is, whatever stories and behaviors I do that make it okay to disconnect, to explain that, justify it, and make it right. In the protest behaviors, examples of protest behaviors, multiple text messages or calls, silent treatment, trying to make the partner jealous, reflecting the avoidance behavior as a way to try and get them to pay attention, which never ever works. Snooping, spying, arranging accidental meetings. Anything to get the attention of the avoidant person back. So like I said earlier, like I've been at the extreme end of both of these things. And my anxious protest behaviors, I'm not going to share some of them with you. It's too shameful. I'm pretty open. And there are some things I've done in this protest behavior space that I'm not willing to share. Right? And I'm certainly not proud of it. And I certainly wasn't in control when I did it. Likewise, some of my avoidant behaviors, I'm not going to share them. But I did whatever, pretty extreme, to try and return to my own space or regain partner's attention. Something an avoidant will do, because an avoidant is avoidant, they're going to avoid conflict as well. So they might stay in a relationship for a really long time, while never being all the way in. Right, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, never fully committed, because there's something in intimacy that's either blech or terrifying. I'm just going to reiterate it. It's not because that person is making a choice to be that way. And the first layer is becoming aware, consciousness. Once we've got awareness, how do I move through this territory? What are my triggers? What's my window of tolerance? Like, what am I okay with? What am I not okay with? How do I communicate that? But once I start to get consciousness, then I can start to do better. 8. Yeah. Oops, there's a little round spot on my face. I didn't quite catch that one. So intense conflict is likely. And whether it's overt, I'm just going to try and get that thing off my face. Whether it's overt or covert, right? There's going to be a lot of intensity and a lot of blame and defense and attack and this whole bit going on. Not going to be a lot of vulnerability. And try and, let me just get my head above that circle. Kind of. Leave this phase as soon as you can, especially if you're anxiously attached in this connection. Like, the longer you stay in this phase, the deeper, the more re-traumatized you're going to get. The deeper this cycle is going to embed in your system, and you don't need that because it's probably already pretty fucking deep. Right, and the longer you're going to stay dysregulated and disorganized, and the harder it's going to be to get back to equilibrium, and the more pain you're going to carry forward. So, I mean, ideal world, you don't hit this phase. Right, or you hit it once so you get the learnings, or, yeah, I don't know. But get out of this phase. Don't stay here. Don't stay here. If you can not, if it's possible for you to not stay here, then don't. Because what happens in physiology, what happens psychologically, very hard to, it takes time to recover from. And we're in a bit of a conundrum, right? Because the avoidant needs safety and disconnection, and the safety for the anxious is in connection. And connection with this person, not connection with friends and family and that stuff. It's not necessarily going to do it. So if you find yourself in this phase, yeah, I'm not really sure what to say around this, except use this to motivate yourself. Right, this is one experience like this when you're in this deep conflict and this horrendous suffering, whether you're on the avoidant side or the anxious side. Well, the suffering is not horrendous on the avoidant side, right? But one experience like this can be enough to wake you up. And please let it be. Please let this be. If it's happening for you, please let this be the experience that motivates you to find the healing that you need, that you want, that you might be craving for, so that you recognize people who are good for you and people who are not good for you. And you learn to represent yourself fully. You learn to ask for what you want and need, so that you can create life-affirming connections. The work's different for the avoidantly attached and the anxiously attached. The work is different, but the outcomes are the same. Waking up to who I am, where I'm hiding from myself, where I'm pretending that I don't have power, where I give my power away. Getting in touch with the sadness and grief of the childhood I didn't have, the childhood I did have, the lack of connection that I experienced. And so that's the third stage, conflict. And then the fourth stage, 4A, is the relationship ends. 4B is we reconnect. So if we reconnect, power dynamic is going to shift, right? Anxious, avoidance not going to really need to change because they're fine. That's the story, right? And the anxious person is going to try and fit themselves into whatever shape they think this person wants, and this person probably isn't saying because they're not into that communication stuff so much, right? Not that like really deep, honest communication. So they're going to change, they're probably not going to change it so much. And the power differential is going to shrink. And then things will return to some kind of equilibrium. For the avoidantly attached person, it might suit them. For the anxiously attached person, they might stay in quite high levels or low levels of activation. But the activation with the connection is so much superior to the activation without the connection. Right, so this power differential kind of establishes, and they'll go round the loop again, and you might find that over time this person is the one with all the problems, this person doesn't really have any problems, and that's the story that gets told within the relationship, within each other, and externally out of the relationship. So it solidifies, and the beliefs get strengthened and more concrete. I'm the one that needs to do the work, and I've got the problems. I'm kind of fine and don't have any problems. Right, which is, it's not accurate and it's not useful. And if we go to reconnection, then the avoidant person is going to stay fairly regulated, and this one is much more stormy, right? Dysregulation is much more likely for the anxiously attached person. If it doesn't go to reconnection, the relationship will end. That's the stage 4B. So the relationship ends. The avoidant is already disconnected, right? They've already done the work of disconnection. Their attachment system has cooled down. So they're good to go. They're good to go into another relationship. They're good to connect with somebody else that's just fine. Right, which is going to hurt like fuck the anxiously attached person. It's going to hurt like fucking crazy. And the anxiously attached person, because their source of regulation is gone, it's going to take them a lot longer to return to equilibrium, to some semblance of a regulated central nervous system. Weeks, months, longer. I don't know. Right, so hopefully this video has given you an overview of how that works. Maybe you see yourself in various places. Hopefully there's some tips or techniques or tasters that give you an idea of what you can do to support yourself in your healing and in creating mutually nourishing and life-affirming connections. I know I've made this group a non-promo space, and I'm going to drop it in here if you want to work with me one-on-one coaching and healing, or as part of the cohort that does a group course that I do, then make contact with me on my Facebook homepage, and we'll work something out. There we go, the end. Thank you so much for watching this 30 minute and 31 second video. Alrighty, see ya.